So I want to welcome you all on behalf of AIF to this session, the panel discussion basically on how to make the classroom a better place, especially in maintaining discipline, which has become a major issue for many of the educators. And so to start the session, I'm going to invite Sindhu ma'am to start the session. And probably I'm sure that each speaker today is going to give you some strategies which will be useful for you in your classrooms. So over to you, Sindhu ma'am. Sindhu ma'am, we can't hear you. I think, yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's okay. Fine. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Let me start with positivity and care. Welcome to today's panel discussion on the topic, maintaining decorum in class and ensuring discipline in class change in the changing times. It has become a complex challenge. Maintaining decorum in the classroom is crucial for effective teaching and learning process. One key aspect is setting clear expectation and rules from the beginning of the academic year. It's also essential to create an engaging and respectful learning environment for the children so that it encourages the student to participate and collaborate properly. So just to setting clear expectation and rules from the beginning to the children and giving the engaging and respectful learning environment for the children. And the consistency in enforcing rules and consequences is vital. And next issue is the technology can be a double-edged sword. It can both aid and disrupt the classroom. Educators need to strike a balance by integrating technology effectively and teaching digital etiquettes. The children should be taught how to handle technology properly, and it should not disrupt their education too. And the third point, what I feel is the societal changes have an impact on classroom discipline. Students are exposed to a wide range of influences through social media and internet. Educators need to engage students in discussion about the responsible digital citizenship and the consequences of their online actions. Educators should adapt their disciplinary approach to suit the evolving needs of students. Collaborative problem solving and open communication with students can help build a sense of responsibility and self-discipline. Now it lacks is responsibility and self-discipline. So by integrating cooperative problem solving and open communication with students, it can build a sense of responsibility and self-discipline among the children. And I believe that fostering a sense of belonging and community in the classroom is essential. When students feel connected to their peer and the learning process, they are more likely to self-regulate their behavior. Additionally, involve parents and guardians in the discipline process can create a support network for educators. In conclusion, while ensuring discipline in the classroom has become more challenging due to the changing times, educators can address these issues through proactive measures by setting clear expectation, embracing technology as a tool for learning, collaborating with the parents, and adapting to new technology, teaching models and technologies. Create a discipline and conductive learning environment for the student. Discipline remains a cornerstone of effective education. So main 2 points, what I want to say is, establish clear communication with the children and develop a proper relationship with the children. And let me conclude. I hope today's discussion have provided some valuable strategies for our fellow educators. Thank you all for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think the suggestions are very apt. I think one of the good points that you said is building a rapport with the students. That is very good, and also setting clear expectations. So, and there should be consistency in that. So, thank you, ma'am, for those points. And now I'll invite Prerna, ma'am. Prerna, ma'am is here. Okay, Suruchi, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
So before we talk about discipline and how to inculcate discipline in the classroom, we need to know what is discipline. In easy language, discipline is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And it is a deliberately done, it's a voluntary effort by a person, by an individual for a particular, when he confirms the code of conduct. So it starts right from home. When we teach a child that, yes, this is right, this is wrong, and you are supposed to behave like this, these are the consequences. And once he steps out in the outer world, he gets influenced by peer group, he gets influenced by the teachers, by the society. So as he's developing, as he's growing, several factors are influencing his mindset. When he gets to an age, a teenage especially, he gets influenced by the social media also. So before I am expecting a proper discipline in my class, I need to understand the mindset of my students. I need to understand the behavioral issues taking place in my class. For a class teacher, I know it is easier. For a subject teacher, although it's a bit difficult because he or she is spending not that much time with the student, but yes, as time goes on, she would be having a clear idea about the students. So most of them are behaving in an inappropriate way in the class, specifically when there is a lack of interest in the subject or overall academics. They do not have a clear idea about what is wrong and what is right, what can be the consequences. So before my expectations, but before I set up a rule for them, I need to know what they expect from a class. They have come to school with certain expectations. So I need to hear out to them also through an effective communication. In case my class is not very comfortable with the lecture method of teaching, I need to modify my lesson plan according to their interest. I can inculcate, I can put in gamification in my learning, in my teaching. My strategies should be based on the interest of my class. So this will help a lot. And a student-teacher relationship is very important. It's playing a very important role when I am talking about discipline in the classroom. If I am having a proper communication with them, they are open to the teacher, they will behave according to the set rules. They would know that, yes, I need to respect the peer members and the teachers as well. At times, I need to give them a knowledge, not the textual one, because if I'm just talking about the textual knowledge, they would not find interest in the subject. I need to start with some storytelling, something which is not there in the text, so that they give me ears. They listen to what I'm saying. I need to make it as interesting as possible according to their interest. Although I agree that we need to complete the syllabus, I completely agree with this. We are always running with the syllabus, but yes, modifications will be a great help in building up the discipline in the class. If you tell the students that these are the consequences if you behave like this would lead to a loss in the teaching process. That would be a loss in time. And when you grow up, you need to have this discipline as a very important factor in the holistic development. They would surely understand. And I would culminate my words by saying that please develop a proper student-teacher relationship.
Thank you, Suruchi ma'am. Very wisely said about good preparation. We need to be prepared for our classes. And if they don't like the methodology that we are teaching, then it's time to change our strategy. So I think each resource person here is going to give us some insight into the classroom. So thank you, ma'am. I'm sure that it's going to be helpful for a lot of educators who are present here. Next, we have Shweta Kapoor, ma'am. Are you here? Shweta Kapoor, ma'am, have you joined? Okay, we go to Vimla, ma'am. Vimla, ma'am, you can unmute yourself and yeah, speak. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Vimla, ma'am. You're on mute, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So as Suchi ma'am said, I totally agree. The total discipline depends from the home. The students, how the students learn from their childhood will be the impact on their classrooms too. There are few strategies which as a teacher we can follow or we can set in the classroom. So in the academic year, when the academic year starts itself, we need to set the classroom rules. It is always important taking the input from students itself. It's not that we telling that I'm going to give you this rules, that rules. In fact, we can tell the students to come up with their own rules and example that I'm going to keep my lunch bag there, or I'm going to come up with my uniform in this way, or all these rules will, we can clearly tell them if you don't follow these rules, it will be a certain consequences where you are going to follow, or the pros and cons. So it's better to bring up some kind of positive reinforcement them. Something giving them the kind of writing their names in and put pasting in the chart on the chart board, or giving them a kind of a certificates or anything with small reinforcement, a verbal something like good job. Everything will give a good impact or kind of the motivation for the students in the classroom. And secondly, I say that the students will always follow the teacher. Teacher plays as a role model in the student's life. So the teacher, as a teacher, I should be very good in the way I put up myself. Example, intonation in my voice while reading the any kind of a subject or a poem or any kind of reading might be, or might be I'm talking with my colleagues or with my parallels. They accurately observe, what the teacher is doing in the classroom. So as a teacher, I should be very much good in my, as a role model, I should present myself in front of my student. And the third is the teaching method. We have varied so many platforms and so many ways where we can bring so many good things in my teaching process. It has become a kind of a flipped classroom now, where the students will play a very important role in their classroom, giving them a group discussion, peer learning might be, or it can be a kind of a what is that, fish bowl. All these things are very essential. This type of small activities will make the students to be more involved in the learning process, as well as keeping the parent involvement is.
Ma'am, you're on mute. Vimla, ma'am, just unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yeah. No, again muted. Somehow it's...
So can you hear me?
Yeah. Now it's fine.
Okay. As a teacher, we can bring lots of strategies and lots of involvement in my classroom. These are the small tips where I feel we have to follow as a teacher, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Vimla, ma'am. I think as educators, we need to be role models. They look up to us in the classroom, outside the classroom as well. And we cannot have any double standard. So we need to, as you very rightly said, be prepared for the classes and be role models for our students. Thank you so much, Vimla, ma'am. And now I'll invite Jyoti Jain, ma'am. Are you here? Jyoti Jain, no. Okay, Monisha, ma'am. Monisha ma'am is here, I think. Monisha Bose. Monisha ma'am. Okay. So Meenu ma'am is here. Yeah, ma'am, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, good evening, Matthew sir, and good evening, present in the meeting. So let us start with a thought that what decorum actually is. We can say it's appropriate behavior or code of conduct. But when we talk of that, why the decorum gets disturbed, we have two conditions. Condition one, where the teacher is present in the classroom, but still the children are not following the decorum. It is getting disturbed. And the second situation is when a teacher is not present in the class and the children are disturbing the decorum of the classes. So we have to think, considering in mind both the situation, when the teacher is present in the class and when the teacher is not present in the class. So let's discuss first about when the teacher is present in the class. So we all agree that when a teacher is present in the class, the decorum should be maintained well and children should participate actively. But when we say the teacher is present in the class and decorum is getting disturbed, then what can be the reasons? According to my observation, as I am also in this teaching field for the past 15 years, what I have felt is the students actually don't follow the decorum of the class when they are not interested in our classes, when our teaching methodologies, when our aura fails to grab their attention and their interest. So it is the prime duty of the teacher. It should be the prime focus of the teacher to make her or his classroom interesting. Our lesson plans should be very interesting. Our lesson plan should be art integrated. Our lesson plan should be experiential methodology based. Because when children are involved, you see, when our lesson plans are art integrated and they follow experiential learning, then children are getting involved. And when we are involving our students, then why will they disturb the decorum of the class? So here teacher have to change the strategy. Secondly, decorum is what a teacher should always communicate clearly to the students. As previous participants has also said that we need to clearly communicate the instructions, the do's and don'ts on behalf of children. A teacher should be very efficient communicator to get their students understand that what children are supposed to do during the classroom teaching and what they are not allowed to do. Because only then children will know that what is right to do and what is not right to do. Next comes when students don't find the teacher as a role model. It is very important that a teacher, when enters a class, enters with a smile. The aura you give to your students should be very, very attractive. So when a teacher enters the class with a smile, teach the class with a smile, with a positive attitude, and leaves the class with a smile, your children will definitely maintain the decorum in your classes. Next comes when students are not involved or heard. Many a times, some students are not getting what we are trying to communicate, what we are trying to teach. So let your ears be very available for every child in your class, irrespective of the differences. You have to be active and a very good listener to maintain the decorum in your classes. Okay. Next, when we don't celebrate the achievements of our children, we all love when our achievements are celebrated, and we are adults, but we enjoy when somebody congratulates us, when we are being well recognized for our efforts. So it is very important that these small kids also get appreciated for what they are doing. So when you appreciate children, they will definitely maintain the decorum in the class and they will not get distracted. They'll wait for your class. Now coming to the next situation. This is the situation when the decorum has not been followed just because the teacher is not present in the class. What we need to do here now? See, when a teacher arrives late in the class or due to any reason when teacher is not present in the class, it's a fun time for the children. Because when the teacher is present, they have to follow the code of conduct. They have to be in the decorum. But when the teacher arrives late or teacher due to any reason is not present in the class, students feel like, let us do everything we want to do. So please make your classrooms flexible. Don't follow a rigid seating arrangement or rigid methodologies. When you allow children to move inside the classes, not wander, it is to move. Let them move inside the classes. Let them have talk with their peers. Let them work in groups. Let them work independently. They will definitely maintain the of the next. You
Ma'am, I
follow
request you
a
to
peer
wind up in 1
support.
minute. I'll request you to wind up. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, sir. You can follow the peer support system where you can assign a support as a peer, and they both can support each other in maintaining the decorum in the classes. At last but not the least, I love to wind up by saying that we as teachers must be very efficient and must be very happy in making our classrooms, our school environment very flexible, so that decorum need not to be imposed on our students. They should behave in decorum on their own without any external force on them. Thank you. This is all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There were lots and lots of points. I'm sure you wanted to go on and give us more points. I could see this. You are so passionate about this and you had so much of energy, and I'm sure your classes are so excellent. And I really loved that point that you brought out in the end, self-discipline. I mean, that is what we have to inculcate. If our students are able to, maintain the decorum in spite of your absence, I think then they have achieved real discipline. So thank you so much for bringing in those beautiful points. It's always very nice to hear the points that you always give in our sessions. Now I'll invite Dr. Shweta. Dr. Shweta Sharma is here.
Greetings, everyone. First of all, it's a great opportunity to be amongst all such good facilitators and educators. And everyone has shared wow tips, wonderful tips on inculcating the discipline or decorum in the class. As Suruchi ma'am has already told about what is discipline, the definition of discipline she's already given, right? So, and most of the teachers before me have already have stressed upon the need of the discipline and also the strategies they've adopted. Some few tips that I have been regularly observing in the classroom and that everyone goes around at a grassroots level, which we see, right? So I can share those tips and we can incorporate it in our classroom, right? So first of all, what can be the causes for these indiscipline in the classroom, right? That can be the lack of attention from the parents, right? Maybe if the parents have if the student is having a broken family, right, or parental rejection or any kind of parental overprotection is there, right, that can be the cause for indiscipline among the students, right? Then there can be the absence of value-based education. Now I am grateful to NEP for incorporating. If we remember our older years, we used to have a moral science classes during our school times, right? So this needs to be incorporated. Okay, so value-based education, lack of value-based education is creating indiscipline among the students at large, right? Then if you have a poor study habits, if they don't go around fixing up their timetable according to the study, right, then also they are not able to focus on a better part of the version of the studies that they're doing, right? They're not able to achieve what they can achieve, right, if they're not focused. And if they are of course lacking with the extracurricular activities during their school schedule, right, then also they are bound to sit. If you get bored sitting at one place period one after the other, concentrating and focusing on the subjects, right, we maybe as teachers are going there with a smile, with plans arranged, right, but the other side of the table sitting at large, if they are not incorporated with the extracurricular activities in their schedule, they get seen to be uninterested in some sort, and they spoil the decorum of the class that needs to be taken care of. Now this was the some causes, and definitely these causes can be dealt with providing the solution to what is there, like effective PT PTA meeting, your parents teacher meeting, right, with the parents, they can solve the problem, right? And the curricular activities, value based education can be incorporated, that with the causes can be dealt with. Now in the class, after all what the other teachers have said, then also we find something or the other, some one student or the other behaving. Now what can we do for that, right? For the checkpoints that I have mentioned, that I have been as the strategy following and observing among the students, was like, if the teacher's pace is not matched with the students learning approach, right, then they can create indiscipline in the class, right? If they have some problems with them which is not approached properly, right, then they can create some kind of indiscipline in the class, right? Then if they have the, if you, they are talking, keep on talking, a conversation in the class is going on while you are giving the lecture, right, then you can give them the point of choice and consequence, right? You have this choice, else you will face this kind of consequence. That means your positive teaching technique, right, your positive language technique, right? So instead of asking them not to do, not to talk, or not to disrupt, or not to throw pieces of paper in the class at an individual level, right? So you can say, if you are doing this, it's good to me, right? You have to pick up. So just give them the opportunity and tell them the consequence, that if they are not following the rules, right, so they have to face these kind of consequences. If they are talking a lot, that is the most common problem which we
Sorry to
face
interrupt
while.
you. I'll request you to wind up in 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So you can just tell them to that they will earn that break. This one, their talking time once they are done with, right? Or else you can also say that, like visiting a doctor, you have to keep quiet, right? You are sitting over there, you have to keep quiet. So in the same way, you have to be in the class. The teacher is like serving a medicine to your academics, right? Teacher is like a doctor, right? So
You're on mute. Just unmute yourself.
so that way, I think we can take some individual steps in taking up the strategies for creating discipline in the class. And last but not the least, I wind up by saying that you can, yes, tell them, okay, it is behavior first and academics later. And of course, we can behave in a very positive way, and hence we can control the decorum in the class. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Involvement of the parents, very important. And thank you for bringing up that, because teachers alone cannot do this job. There has to be support from the parents as well. Thank you. Now I'll invite Purnima ma'am.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So I have been taking foundational years, that is nursery and KG, and I believe that discipline should be inculcated, and it's being practiced also in schools, that we should inculcate the discipline from the foundational years, from nursery, KG and all. So I'll be sharing few tips, but before that, what I want to speak as a teacher is that being a teacher, you have to be mindful enough when you're entering the class. Like, if you're entering the class, you should be well prepared and focused with all the things which you need to deliver in the class. If you're not mindful, if you are somewhere else, maybe if you're having some problems in the family or something else, I believe that hampers the class, and which I have myself observed. So prepare your class wisely, prepare it with all the TLMs, so that you don't lose the connection in between the students. When you are trying to teach the students, you should not break the connection in between that. Okay. So my USP is building rapport with the students. See, it will take time. Initially, when you are conducting a class, and when you are just a teacher, just you have entered the class and it's your fresh first day of the class, it will take time. But once you have built that rapport, the children will start listening to you as a teacher. And for my nursery kids, because I know they have very short span of time, I have been introducing some energizers in between. I have been introducing some transition phase in between. See, they have very short span of time. So in between, I have to make them change their places, might be because to grab their attention. And in between, I use one-liners also. One-liners as in if they are not focused. So I just use hocus pocus. Now everybody focus. So say they start listening those one-liners. If I say 1, 2, 3, and they know they have to say eyes on me. So these all things work. And in between, if they're talking also, if some of the kids are not paying attention, they start concentrating on what you are saying. So every child should feel important also. In that case, what I have been doing is maintaining a proper eye coordination with the children in the class. If I'm taking senior classes as well, I'm taking moral values classes in senior classes. And as a substitute teacher, it becomes very difficult sometimes to bring a, get a rapport with the children. So what I used to do is I roam in the class, I introduce some games which they would like to play in that particular substitution period. So in that proper communication of your rules and regulation also should be there in the foundational years. Like while I enter the class, I say, okay, children, like a role play. We have to do role plays. So what we do is we say, do we push in the class? No. Do we hurt other children? No. So these all one-liners and proper giving them instructions work very, very well. Then the praising thing should be there. If the child is doing some good job, we have to reward them with the smileys, or maybe we have to clap for them in the class. So other children observe, and children are great observer. So being a teacher, while I am entering in the class, I say, may I come in, children? So they follow whatever I am doing in the class. If I am eating and talking to my teacher, to other teachers, they will do the same. So being a teacher, you have to be a role model for them, as all other teachers and guests have said over here, that you have to be a role model for the teachers. In other things, what I am doing is affirmations. And what I firmly believe is affirmations work. Like in the beginning of the class, I say, I'm a good boy. I am a good girl. I will listen to my teachers. I will be studying today. I will be not running in the class. All these things have worked very well in my class, and I hope it helps you all also. So thank you so much. That's all from me today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
so
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
ma'am. And I think the affirmation part is something new and works very well at the foundational stage, I believe. So thank you for bringing in those. Next, I'll invite Raki, ma'am. And of course, the time we'll be ending this meeting, we'll be starting. So Raki, ma'am, I think you can start off right now, and you can continue also when we start off after a break of 5 minutes. Yeah, Raki, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. This is a great opportunity to speak to all of you. And maintaining discipline and decorum is the primary objective of each and every teacher, of each and every school. Because just as learning is a two-way process, maintaining decorum in the class is also a two-way process. Just as the other educators have pointed out, a teacher should be a role model. If a teacher is punctual in the class, if a teacher is managing her own etiquettes, if a teacher knows how to behave in the class, I am sure the students too are going to emulate the teacher. The teacher needs to be a facilitator in the true sense of the term, in the sense that a teacher needs to be a guide, she needs to be an advisor, she needs to be a mother, so that they make the child comfortable. Most important is that the classroom environment should be made comfortable for the students. If the class is too cramped up, or the class is not airy, there is not enough sunshine in the class, what happens is that the students are uncomfortable. And if the students get uncomfortable in the class, certainly their attention is not towards what the teacher is teaching. And it's going to create a lot of discipline, and a lot of discipline problems are going to be there. So it is very important that first of all, a suitable learning environment, the classroom decorum, the classroom environment should be supportive for the teachers. In addition to that, in addition to having a positive classroom setup, a positive reinforcement from the teacher's side is very, very important. Every time a student does something good, a pat on his shoulder, a word of appreciation can go a long way in creating a very, very healthy relationship between the teacher and the student. But at the same time, a teacher needs to always be understanding that the student should always know. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be a part of this AIEF session. And today's topic, the art of maintaining decorum in class, is very important as long as we want to have an active and an interactive teaching learning session going on in the class. Just as we as facilitators are very aware that teaching is a two-way process, similarly, decorum too is a two-way process. We cannot expect a student to sit attentively for the 40 minutes and pay attention to each and everything that the teacher is teaching in the class. It is very important that the teacher himself or herself should report to the class in time. So decorum is something which the teacher too has to follow. And as my other facilitators and my other educators have already pointed out, the teacher is a role model for the class. So if the teacher is on time, if the teacher follows a set of rules and lays down the rules that the class and the students have to follow from the very beginning of the academic session, active and healthy teaching learning can take place in the class. Secondly, to ensure that there is proper decorum, a teacher has to be a facilitator in the true sense of the term. A teacher is a facilitator, a guide, a mother for the students, a father for the students in the school. Students should feel comfortable interacting with the teacher. The third important point I need to point out is that the classroom environment should be suitable. As long as the class is spacious, it has enough air and sunshine within the class, the students feel comfortable. If the class is too crammed up or students have no space to move, there is bound to be indiscipline in the class. If the students are comfortably seated, I'm sure they are going to pay attention to what the teacher is stating in the class. In addition to have a positive classroom environment, it is also necessary that positive reinforcement should also be provided to the students. A pat on the student's back and a glare from the teacher's eyes should be enough to ensure the student that yes, maybe he has done a good thing or maybe he has done a wrong thing. It is very important that students should be familiarized with the actions and the behavior of the teachers. It is very important that a teacher needs to give a class where a lot of activities are there. Simply lecture-based or chalk and talk process of teaching is not going to ensure that there is active and healthy teaching within the class. If we want the decorum to be maintained in the class, it is important that every teacher needs to understand the needs of each and every child and conduct the methodology and teaching styles so that each and every student is interested in what is actually happening in the class. That is why activity-based learning, teaching by doing, learning by doing is the key concepts which we clearly need to keep in our mind. Plus, it is very important that a teacher pays attention to each and every student within the class. We cannot afford to ignore any student. And if we do not pay attention to some students, we just ignore them within the class, that student is certainly going to be a cause of indiscipline within the class. And not just that student, he may also instigate the others to do the same. So be consistent within the class, create a positive, create a healthy teaching environment so that active teaching learning takes place. Let there be decorum in the true sense of the term from both the sides. Just as a coin has two sides, similarly, a student and a teacher are two sides of this learning process, and both of them need to work hand in hand to maintain the decorum within the classroom. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Raki ma'am. And I really like the term chalk and talk. Just writing and talking and nothing else, right? So activity-based teaching. So thank you for introducing us to new terms. And I'm sure each one of us is providing some suggestions which we can take back to our classes. So next I'll invite Sanjay sir, if he is here. Sanjay sir. Are you here, sir? Sanjay, sir? Okay, so in the meantime, if there is anyone else who wants to add on, I mean, If somebody else wants to add on to our panelists, they are most welcome to. If you have done something in the class and it has worked for you, you are most welcome to share that. Yes, Hina ma'am, I think you raised your hand. Please go ahead. Sonam ma'am, those who have raised their hands, yeah, please. Sonam ma'am, you want to share something?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, the major thing that we all are facing is that their homework. Students are not completing their work on time. So for that, the only thing is we need to do regular follow-up. We need to just take one round in the class as those who have done and those who have not done. So this is the only way I think so that students can complete their work on time.
Okay, yeah. So thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Anybody else? Sanjay sir, are you here? And anybody else wants to share something? They're most welcome. Yeah, Nisha ma'am, please go ahead. Nisha Gupta ma'am, you want to say something?
Matthew sir, good evening. This
Good
is
evening, ma'am.
Smita.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just want to add one more point. Even the parents can help us out during the KG lower classes, where we can take help from them if they're not doing any work or getting the pop-ups. So what we usually do in school is, if the child is not doing properly, we ask the parents to come and help us in different manners. It's not that they're coming to the class and helping us out, but definitely, yes, in different manners, we take the help from the parents also. I feel in the lower classes, as we have mentors, we are going to start with the mentors tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I feel the parents can also help us in many ways.
Yeah, I think without parent support, it's becoming very, very difficult. If the parents are not on the teacher side, I think we are losing our case. So I think parents and teachers have to work hand in hand. So very nicely shared, Smita ma'am, and all the best to the mentorship program that is initiated. And I'm sure it's going to benefit the kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to share? Monica ma'am, you want to share something?
Good evening, Matthew sir,
Good evening, ma'am.
and all the panelists. It was nice hearing all the feedback that we have taken today in the panel discussion from all the eminent educationists about their own experience in the classes. And we do agree that it is positive in reinforcement, the code of conduct of the classroom when a teacher carries herself or himself with a smile, and definitely the background of the child. All these things put together and making our objectives clear to the learners, the discipline can be maintained and the decorum will be there and learning will be more effective and it is going to be beneficial for the students.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Monica. Anybody else would like to share anything?
Sir, Matthew, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Purnima, ma'am, please.
Sir, what I have been observing in classes these days and what the senior students are being, they are discussing with me is bullying, what is happening in the classes these days. I think that also comes in discipline and decorum of the class. So as a teacher, and we should be, well aware of all these things also in the class, and we should conduct a session on sensitizing the students for these things, because emotional intelligence is what we are looking forward for these days.
Yeah. So that's a very valid point that you brought. You said you brought about bullying, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
bullying.
yeah. So
bullying among the students also.
Yeah, among
yes.
the students, there is absolutely, that's a trend which is catching on. And as teachers, I think we need to be vigilant so that matters don't go beyond, a certain level. Otherwise, it leads to other problems. Yes, thank you. So I'll just ask anyone else who wants to share. Otherwise, we'll close this, and I'm sure we'll have more discussions in the coming weeks, coming months. If there is anyone wants to take the last comment, they are most welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Good
This
evening.
is Mrs. Cynthia Howard. I just want to share that another way of disciplining children in the class, it becomes an artistic work for the teachers sometimes. So I have 4-5 baskets in the class, and I have flowers, paper made flowers, stones, which are beautifully painted by children themselves. And then I ask them for their water bottles, and also I have basket with mother and father tag in the basket. Where when they are feeling upset about it, they have to come before their attendance. They have to pick one of those and go back and sit. And then when their name is called, they have to tell me. Flower means they are happy. And if they pick up mother, that means they have little problem with mama today in the morning or with father. Or when they're picking up stone, that means they are very upset about something. And when it is their water bottle, that means they are having some trouble, but they are not aware of it. Something is troubling them, but they're not aware of it. So this is how I come to know their moods every time, because we have 0 period to deal with them. So once I've collected that information, attendance all taken, slip all gone, then I have a chance to talk to them. So that also brings children to an ease, and they are able to express their view in few sentences, broken English, Hindi or whatever, but they have spoken out, and the aggression they might have carried throughout the day has subsided in the 0 period itself. So that deals with behavior problem of the child, I believe.
Yeah, thank you. Instead of
Sure.
a beautiful way of expressing, and 0 periods can be used for this. Thank you, Cynthia ma'am. Meenakshi ma'am, yes.
Good evening, Matthew sir.
Good evening.
And very valuable inputs given by all the teachers. It's absolutely right. Class space and everything matters. What I do, like being a Sanskrit teacher, I start my class with just silent sitting and playing off some shlokas, and the children sit quietly for 2 to 3 minutes, and then I go on with the class. So that really helps them to settle down. So whatever problems they are having, or just बोलते हैं ना उथल पुथल, so they are able to settle down with that meditation. So that really helps. So that is also one of the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think settling down takes 2-3 minutes minimum, 3 to 4 minutes, because the class is in a hyper state always when you enter the class, and that's a very good thing that if they can recite some shlok, or they have some meditative practices and all that. It's a very good thing that you're doing. I mean, because we always find that we take 2 to 3 minutes minimum to just to ask them to sit down properly, and then we start the class. So thank you. I think we had a good sharing today, and hopefully we'll carry back some of these to our classrooms, and we'll try to implement all these. And very soon we'll be having our next topic, and I'm sure more and more of us will participate. Basically, it is sharing of experiences and expertise so that each one help each other. It's a learning process, and learning never stops. So on this note, I want to wish you all a very good night, and till we meet again. Thank you to all the panelists who took out their valuable time, and thank you to all the participants who took out time to attend this session, and always motivated the speakers. So thank you once again, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.